Aubergine Chef. Today we'll be making apple cobbler, and if you want to make apple crisp, it's really easy. You just follow the same instructions for the apples, but instead of doing biscuit dough on top, just do a pie crumble on top. So it's kind of like a mini apple pie without the pie crust. Super easy. And actually, I think one of my episodes prior to this, I added apple crumble. So if I find it, I'll put it in the blog post so that way you won't have to look around for it. Alright, so why don't I go ahead and explain what's going to go on. First of all, I'm making some biscuit dough from class, so this is kind of an older recipe, so I haven't had a chance to play with it at all to see if it needs to be bigger or smaller, but the good thing is it's regular biscuit dough, so if I have any extra dough left over, I can refrigerate or freeze it and have biscuits whenever I want. So I'm like, well, you know, sure I'll reduce it later, but why not have extra biscuits so I have something for breakfast? So for right now, I have, let's see, 5.5 ounces of butter in this bowl, and we're gonna melt down this butter. And I've also separated, while I was at it, 2 ounces of butter, and then a little bit extra, because we're gonna use this to ready our ramekins and our pie tins and whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this over to the microwave. All right. Now, as you can see, I have 4 ramekins and I have 4 of these little pie tin things. I wanted smaller ones, kind of like the deep dish pie ones, but those were still kind of big. I guess pot pies are growing. So I got these instead, because I thought they were kind of neat. And what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to end up filling it up with halfway with apples, because I only got 2 apples. Because, you know, apples go a long way, especially if you pack them down. And I got a Granny Smith apple for a more crisp texture, the one that won't bake down as much. And then I got a Macintosh. And I haven't really baked with Macintosh, but I had a roommate in college, and she loved making applesauce, and one of the apples she liked making it with was Macintosh. So I'm imagining that it'll bake down. I'm not really great with apples. Despite all the apple pies I've made, I'm not that great figuring out which apples go with what, because you're going to hate me for saying this, but to me, most apples kind of taste the same. Now, I liked Braeburn and I liked Gala apples. But other than that, I really don't tell a difference unless it's like really extreme, like a Granny Smith apple. So we're going to play with it and see how it comes out, and then make a mental note so that way next time I, know what apples to cook with. But feel free to make your own apple blend. Feel free to use whatever apples you want to use, because they're pretty much all going to bake. They're going to be apple something, right? So if you have an apple that you like, try using that. If you're afraid that it'll bake down too much and you have like apple mush, throw in a green Granny Smith apple, and that'll help prevent it from being completely mushy. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to start off with making the biscuit dough. So let's go ahead and measure out our flour. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift all of my dry ingredients into this bowl. So first, 7 ounces of bread flour, and then 1 pound 3 ounces of all-purpose flour, 1.5 ounces of baking powder, 1/2 ounce of salt, and 4 ounces of sugar. Okay? Just go ahead and shake your sifter until it all comes through. Now, one thing about sifting is it helps mix all your ingredients together. It also helps aerate your ingredients so they're a little bit lighter. But you see, this is a lot of baking powder that didn't get broken up that I would have to break down by hand. So by using a sifter, it helps break them up that way. So that way you don't have to worry about there being chunks of baking powder in your the baking powder or flour in your biscuit dough, just randomly not mixed well together. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and measure our liquid ingredients. So let's go ahead and melt down our butter. We got to make sure that it's pretty hot. While that's warming up, let's go ahead and measure out our buttermilk. We need 15 ounces of buttermilk. And 1/2 ounce of vanilla extract. Okay, go ahead and just whisk this together. Okay, I had my butter in the microwave for about 2 minutes and it's pretty hot, so let's go ahead and drizzle that in without burning myself. So let's go ahead and combine our ingredients. First, make a well in the flour mixture. All that means is just make a hole in the center. Then, just pour your liquid in the middle. It'll overflow, it's fine. I learned my lesson from the apple turnover episode. From now on, I'm doing that in a bowl. And just start whisking it together. When it starts to become hard to whisk, go ahead and switch to a rubber spatula. Okay, so go ahead and use your hands if you need to help get it all incorporated. You just want a nice sticky dough. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and put this to the side until we're ready to use it. So we're going to go ahead and start with our apples now.